Quick shout out from our sponsor, Share ID. Are you trying to boost conversions to your Shopify store? Need to drive more customer loyalty? Get results fast by offering exclusive discounts to consumer communities with Share ID. Share ID helps verify students, teachers, military, first responders, and so much more of these groups. With Share ID, you'll get a verified match in seconds. You can spit out an exclusive discount for customers on the spot. Try speaking directly to a new customer segment with this verifiable identity without adding friction to the shopping experience. Continue to drive incremental revenue in the next 90 days post-purchase with more tailored messaging for your email and SMS campaigns. I personally tested Share ID to see just how easy it was to get set up, and I was pretty much ready to go in under 15 minutes. The onboarding was simple enough for me to follow as a non-technical person. Go to shareid.com/Shopify and start your free trial today. Once again, that's shareid.com/Shopify and start your free trial today. It's great stuff. We both tried it. We both like it.
Honest to God, I've been drinking nothing else for 3 months. I shit you not. I think in like February, I tweeted saying I was having issues with caffeine and I was just like a jittery mess. And Greg replied to me like, well, just try this. If it's no good, I'll refund you. Honestly, I haven't stopped since. It's fantastic. I love it.
Go to nowave.co and use pod 10 for 10% off your order. That is NOOWave.co and use code pod 10 for 10% off your entire order. Hello and welcome to the Brand Builders Podcast. We have myself, Matt Lady, and Tom Brown as your co-hosts. Each week we'll have a catch-up and open-form discussion and chit-chat about how our businesses are doing, what's on our minds, what we're struggling with lately, and what is working, and helps to show you the ups and the downs of building a direct-to-consumer brand. Tom, how the heck is it going? Where are you calling in from today to give the viewers?
Pretty good, man. I am currently down in a place called Basingstoke in Hampshire, England, so a little away from yourself. But
yeah, and I am from Livermore, California, so outside the Bay Area, so across the pond from you, but we're excited to connect and chat about all these stuff. The show's been a long time coming. We've been chatting about this for a while, so really excited to get it started. Episode 1 here. Let's lay the foundation, get the groundwork out. Tom, who the heck are you? Where are you coming from? Like, what's your experience? What's your background?
that is a damn good question. I've been in e-com since probably about 2014. Originally started on Squarespace. I apologize to anybody at Shopify right now. That's just where I came from. I was building funny, this came up in a conversation I was having with a few folks earlier today. I started when I was working full-time job, I was working for British Airways. I actually started building on the side, little websites for tree surgeons, car garages, all that sort of thing in my local area. Kind of stumbled into e-commerce. I was buying Quest bars from the United States, spending a fortune to import them from California, $40 a box. It was ridiculous. Kind of got sick of paying that much for protein bars. It was stupid. I was at a point in my life I was just trying to lose a ton of weight. So I tried to reverse engineer Quest bars and launch my first e-com brand then, selling these protein bars in the UK. It took off kind of by mistake, I'll be honest. I was selling them to friends in the gym, friends and family were kind of buying them. In fact, I was shipping more and more back to the States, which was, again, just absurd. Making these things in my mom's kitchen, literally 200-300 of them a day, and I capped out. I could not produce anymore. Went from that to, trying to talk to manufacturers, see if they would take my recipe and just scale it up. Most of them said no, or they were coming back with, certain requirements, couldn't use certain ingredients, or I'd have to pay thousands to get these ingredients verified and put into their system. And on top of that, minimum orders were 100,000 units. And it was guarantee up to 250,000 a year. I couldn't. I didn't have the money, not a damn chance. Long story short, I kind of went from that, reverse engineered. I'm like, okay, well, what if I go build the marketplace and the audience first? So I built a company called Posted Protein. Ran that for 5-6 years, and that was essentially working with a bunch of other retailers in the sort of nutrition space. That became a big sort of mix and match marketplace where you can build your own box of 12 different bars, 12 different energy drinks, that kind of thing. Then probably in 2019, must admit, my mom went into the hospital and was actually sat in a hospital waiting room one day, and I'm like, I know for the foreseeable future, I am not going to have that much time to spend on this brand anymore. So what the hell am I going to do? There was no way I was not going to go to the hospital with my mom. It was for a couple times a week at that point. I'm like, I need to find something I can literally do out of a hospital waiting room. that doesn't require me to physically be in a warehouse picking, packing orders, and just actually being in the operation side. So that became Brand Labs, which was like a little agency, just helping brands, Shopify focused brands, Shopify Plus brands, really sort of rebuild themes, whether that was custom themes or premium themes, helping a lot with sort of PPC, with Facebook ads, and really just overall strategy and just helping them execute. So it was kind of a jack of all trades and just taking everything I'd learned from running Posted Protein for years. So I'm still doing that, still doing quite a bit on the side, got a little team that works for Brand Labs at this point. And then about a year ago, working with a lot of these clients, I decided the question I was kind of getting the most through Twitter or Facebook groups or anything like that was like, show me how to do this. Like, it's very well telling me the tactics and telling me the strategy, but like, how do I actually do this? So I think I texted you at the time. I was like setting up this little paid community where I was just going to build the whole thing in public. And I figured that would actually kind of hold me accountable, but hopefully it would show a bunch of folks exactly how to do this. I only had 13 people, I think, signed up on like day one. Nothing crazy. And I launched this brand and document the entire process of, talking to manufacturers, talking about like who the audience was, how I was going to find these customers, like what my launch strategy was. Launched that on, it was February 4th, 2021, and it just took off like a little rocket. It was never the intention that, again, I was having this conversation with a friend earlier on and kind of said, like, it's such a twisted thing. Like, I never thought this brand would get to this point. Like mistakenly built like the 7-figure business. It's the most ridiculous thing in the world. Which, I mean, it's a nice little humble brag. I'll take it. But
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at right now. So I launched that, about 18 months ago. And I kind of figured more the strategy I wanted to go. I mean, historically, I think my goal was always like build the biggest business, hire as many people as possible, just like top line, growth at all costs. And I'll be honest, in like the last 2 years, that has shifted so much where like it's become far more about lifestyle, how to actually pull back. Like, I don't want to be working 20-hour days, sleeping for 4, get up and going again. It's just, I was chasing money for such a long time. And I think that has shifted so much, where it's far more of like, I would rather have 2 or 3 of these businesses, to 100, 200K profit a year and really living off that and having just a very nice lifestyle, living off American Express points that just allow me to travel and really just leveraging that as much as possible.
Yeah,
I think for me, certainly it's far more sustainable. It's far more enjoyable.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the background, the intro, and the context. I learned a little bit about you in just a few minutes as well. So that's great. So I think the 2 points you made there about you didn't expect either business to take off like a rocket, and they did. So I think that's just something to highlight and like reiterate. Like, most successful people, at least now in this day and age of like personal brand and, this is exactly how I did things. This is exactly how I did it. And it's like, you're looking back, and you're like trying to like connect the dots and like, oh yeah, this is what I did and this is why it worked. But you don't actually know. You don't like, no. Most people aren't that smart to like know exactly how it's going to work moving forward. So it's all looking back. So if you want to start a brand, or you're in the early stages, or you've been kind of up and down for a while, like Tom, myself, everyone, we're all kind of in the same boat. We're all figuring it out as we go. And like, he didn't expect it to work and be this great big success. And it did. No. And he was able to repeat it, like you said, on accident. Like, he didn't mean it to be that successful that quickly. So just wanted to point that out again.
I appreciate it. I mean, funny, again, I kind of had this conversation with a friend the other day, and saying the same thing. I think the fact that when I launched this business 18 months ago, I wasn't reliant upon it. I wasn't trying to take money out. I wasn't trying to extract value from it. It was something that was completely on the side. It was self-reliant. Anytime it made money, like, I just poured it straight back in. It started with like, I think it was like $1,600 on a credit card. It was low investment. I knew if it all went wrong, like, I just sell the product, list it on eBay, list it on Amazon, and just get rid of it. The risk was very low. But I think it was the fact that there was no pressure on the brand. Like, there was no force. I've been in that situation before where I've kind of put myself in a corner where, like, there was payroll to meet that month. So, like, had to hit certain inventory, certain sales levels, certain profit levels. That is unbelievably stressful. Like, when your back is against the wall, it's such a different game. And it's kind of the advice I give to a lot of merchants, or, would-be merchants kind of coming up now. It's like, do not quit your day job. Like, for the love of God, like, build this as a side project. Take like 2 to 3 hours a day if you can, of an evening, of an early morning, something like that. Don't take money out of it for like the first 12 months if you possibly can.
Yes, dude, that's and I've made that mistake myself and have tried to do it freelancing and consulting and doing this and that and trying to it's really tough and really stressful.
Yeah.
And I think again back to this like social media personal branding stuff like, oh, well this person, it's so easy. 6 steps to make your first 100 figures in 6 weeks, and like if they can do it, like why can't I? Or like that's like the bar and expectation. And so I think that's it can be motivating and it can be inspiring and it can be helpful in some ways, which is cool.
Okay.
But it can also be very stressful and very comparison based and like, oh, I want to just make it faster. I don't want to wait 12 months and not take money out of my business. What the heck? Like, it's so hard to play that long game and to be patient. It's so tough. So that's really interesting, man. And then the second point I wanted to after
Sure.
your
Sorry,
little,
jumped in.
no, it's all good. The second recap of your intro was the lifestyle and your mindset change in terms of top line growth and revenue and growth at all costs. And part of that, I'm sure, is because of the pandemic, which is like kind of teetering out, kind of still a thing, and all this stuff right now. And I'm sure me, especially, my mindset and my attitude towards life and business has changed quite a bit. So I just wanted to like touch on that a little bit more and ask you, what are some of the sort of things that have changed for you and your mindset and like the way you're trying to set up your life and live life each day now, rather than just top line growth for forever?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pinpoint like exactly when that change was. I think you're right. A lot of it kind of came down to the pandemic. Yeah, when the pandemic first happened, we still had the warehouse. I still had the warehouse, and we were still one of the few businesses that could actually remain open. They closed us down for about 3-4 weeks, and that was painful as all hell. But when that permission kind of came through that we could, we were operating like this gray area. Online retailers could kind of open because we weren't physically seeing people. Like that was okay. But I remember being like one of the only people on the road. The only people outside. It was just peculiar. Going down the street, it would normally take me like 30 minutes to get across town to the warehouse, and it was like 12 minutes. There was just nobody around. And I think it was during that process. I mean, just the fact, I rarely saw anybody. I would kind of see me, the girl that's around the front of the warehouse. It was kind of the two of us the whole way through this pandemic, which was peculiar in its own right. I mean, I think we both just had a lot of these conversations of like, the path that we were on, and just questioning like, at this age, at this point, having gone through, being kind of forced to slow down. Like, is this something I want to continue with? I built this business. And by other people's definitions, it's quote unquote like successful, but like it doesn't feel it. I'm not sleeping. I'm stressed as hell. I'm struggling like to make payroll some months because, particularly in the pandemic, I didn't really know what the hell was happening. That was actually weirdly fortunate. To begin with, like gyms were closing, and we kind of figured, the business was going to tank because of it. No one was going to be buying protein supplements, and before we know it, like literally the next month, I think in the March, the gyms and everything shut. I think by April, like our sales had like 4x'd. It was ridiculous. Which again, great problem, but then we're struggling to get stuff in. A lot of stuff comes in from the US and from Europe, and just everything shut down, like everybody's kind of experienced. But it was like during those periods of just questioning, like, is this something that I really want to continue with? By that point, I'd kind of told myself like I was quite happy to pump my 20s to see if I could really build something. And I'm coming up on, at that point I was coming up on 30. I turned 30 last year. And it was like I was getting to the end of that decade where I kind of said like, I'll punt it, I'll take the risks. There's no mortgage, there's no kids, I'm not married. Like, if I'm going to take the risks anytime, take them now. Let's figure this out. And if it all goes wrong, like I'm young enough to kind of start over and go again. I don't know. It was kind of like just evaluating all of this kind of happen at once. Pandemic, coming up to 30, kind of reaching the end of that milestone I'd given myself, and just questioning like, is this the life I actually want to live? I've been chasing money, chasing the things, chasing the material items for so long, and yet, I've not seen a number of friends in years. My relationships, to be honest, with close friends, with girlfriend, we're tinkering. It was hard work, and it was becoming very apparent that I was almost every time putting work first, and not the family, not the relationships, not the friendships. And like that was a problem. That was a real like eye-opening moment of I am sacrificing things that are the most important for cash. Like, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah, dude, thanks for being open and sharing that and being vulnerable and like admitting that, and like it's not easy, and like I've definitely 100,000% have done the same thing.
Yeah,
And
you have.
so you're not alone. And like, it sucks. It's hard. It's like, well, what's the point of, I can't enjoy the time or the cash, like with the people that I want to spend time with and do the things I want to like enjoy doing. And like, not everything has to be all about money or about business or making a brand and getting as big as you can all the time. Like I said earlier, it's both inspiring that we have all this connection and all this, seeing these people all the time, living their life, documenting every single little thing, and like making themselves the star of their life and their own show, and like other people envious and get comparison and all that stuff. But you have to dig deep and ask yourself and be self-aware and like, is that what I want, or is that what I think I want? Because we always often come to a grass is always greener. Like, oh, if I just have that, then I can be happy, or then I'll be cool. It's like, you're like, oh, well, you've built multiple brands to like 7 figures now. Like, how many more is it going to take? Do you need to get to 8 figures? Do you need like 10 brands at 7 figures? Like, when's enough is enough? Like, it's tough. It's tough to say. And like, I think it's really neat how you're trying to like dig deep and ask yourself these questions and make those changes and consciously slow down and reevaluate and reprioritize. And, you know, that might change again later, but it's just, life is all about adapting.
Yeah, it is. And you're right. It may completely change again. You know, it's funny. A lot of the, I suppose like the risks, or I don't know, just the sort of day to day is so far away from what it was back in like 2014, 2015. You know, the decisions I was making then, the money I was spending then on, you know, goods and purchase orders and stuff like that. I mean, it's like 100x right now what it was then. And like, you know, I was terrified at that point of putting those POs in. And like, now I'm here and, you know, I'm still terrified because the money, like the numbers have just increased so much. It is terrifying at times when you're just wiring off like 80 grand to China or wherever the hell, hoping the product is going to show up. But it's, as much as like that has scaled in a weird way, I don't know, like that very quickly becomes normal. If that makes any kind of sense.
Yeah, it sort of does. Like you said, the numbers get bigger. You're still scared. You're still like have that nervous feeling. You're still like, okay, hopefully it gets here on time. Hopefully I'm able to sell through it in time and be able to like make my next order and all that. So it makes sense. And then, but the 100x in cost and like order size is not necessarily your happiness or your success is 100x. Like no. It's sort of like you said, it's sort of kind of the same. It's kind of weird. It's kind of this odd paradox kind of situation. So it's fascinating, man. Well, yeah, thanks for sharing about that and giving your background. And I'll be a little more. I'll share my background a little bit so people know who the heck this other guy is talking. I started digital advertising in 2015, and I was at a political firm. So most notably, we tried to spend $1 million in a day, and I was trying for a single ballot initiative, and we had to like keep track of like which zip codes were getting the most, like getting the spend. So that most likely the ads would show up for those voters, like as they're hopefully in line, like to go vote, like crazy stuff like that. So that's how I got my start in Facebook ads and all this stuff. And then I went to a different agency, but that was like too slow and like the opposite because the political firm was super stressful and high intense. This other one was like a little slower, like I could finish my work in 3 hours. And then like I just have to sit in the office all day. I'm like, fuck, there's got to be like a middle ground. There's got to be a middle ground, right? And so that's when I started freelancing back in 2019. And I became a media buyer, worked with just e-commerce brands, and saw like what it was like to work with small business owners and founders in that e-commerce of money in and money out. So yeah, it's a little more stressful at times because before you're like, oh, well, the ballot we lost, if we won, it's very binary of like, cool, what success looked like. But with e-commerce, it's like, yeah, we make money, we don't make money. But each day it's like, yeah, we made money or we didn't make money or we lost. Or, you know, it's up and down. It's ongoing. There's like, everyone has their own school of thought of like how fast their business should be growing. So it's really neat to work with these founders and small brands and help them grow through Facebook, and been doing advising, consulting with some brands in different capacities. So I'm not like buying their ads directly for them, helping them make strategic decisions, sort of like you're saying with Brand Labs. So that's kind of where I'm at. And then I've been starting up this content machine with High Key Geek. It's the Everyday Entrepreneur's little media brand. So I got a couple shows going. E-commerce Uncovered is the main one, where it's all about practical, tactical information from experts, practitioners, operators, about how to grow a brand in a specific subject matter. And then launching this show with you, Brand Builders. And then we had Conversational Commerce with Stephanie Griffith. She's co-host of season 1. That's going to come back. My buddy Richie from She's Birdie, he's going to start a show coming up soon. So building a little media company as well, trying to figure out the next move, if I'm going to keep consulting, freelancing, or kind of shift gears and maybe go in-house somewhere. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Very cool.
Yeah, man. So that's just give you all some context of who the other guy is in your ears right now. A quick reminder from our sponsor, ShareID. Find your next lifetime customers by providing verified discount codes based on occupation or life stage. Speak directly to veterans, students, teachers, first responders, and continue to tailor your messaging to them in the future with post-purchase emails and text messages. Make them feel seen with your brand by using ShareID to seamlessly verify their email in seconds during the purchase process. Go to shareid.com/Shopify and start your free trial today. A quick note from our sponsor. Just a little reminder that No Wave is the coffee for creativity, which us D2C folks need plenty of. Their signature flow state coffee is organic ground coffee with L-theanine. This is shown to help lower anxiety, improve brain function, and sharpen your focus. Tom and I have both tried it and have made it our coffee of choice when cranking on ad accounts and planning for big events like Black Friday. It's the perfect way to kickstart your workday, whether you're at the office or working from home. Go to nowave.co and use pod10 for 10% off your order. That is NOO wave.co and use code pod10 for 10% off your entire order. So we have a couple topics here that we might want to talk about. And so timely right now, what are your thoughts about starting a new brand like right now? Right now, this is August 11th, 2022. And why might now be the best time to begin a customer-centric brand during a recession like we're having right now? Why do you think that? What are your thoughts around that? I want to hear it, and let's go back and forth.
Sure, man. I mean, obviously, it's one guy's opinion. Obviously, don't take this as gospel because I am by no means an expert. This is kind of just what I'm saying. I mean,
yeah, fair enough.
I'm putting that out there quick.
Yeah. Disclaimer.
Yeah. Please go.
Yeah. Disclaimer. Yep. Fair enough.
I don't know, man. I mean, everyone's kind of throwing like this recession term. Whether we're going into one and whether we're in one, I don't really know. I'll be honest, I'm even just going around like my local town, looking around the stores, looking around the restaurants, looking around the bars, particularly the last month, they're heaving. They really are. Like, I've never seen them busier, which I don't know, to a lot of extent would suggest people are not pulling back. I spent the last couple of days down in Devon, which is down in the southwest, and we stopped on the journey back. It's like a 3.5 hour drive. Stopped on the way back at this little farm shop and got 2 coffees, 2 pastries. And it was like £24. I'm not kidding. Like, there's a queue of people in and out the door behind me. Like, people are not slowing down spending. And I don't know. That's kind of like the way to preface it. Like, I don't really know that we are going into recession in the same way that the media seems to be publicizing. On the flip side, if we are, I mean, we're already starting to see like freight costs coming down. Getting goods in from China, getting goods in from Europe, the US right now is coming down. That is at last getting a bit cheaper. As much as inflation and fuel prices have gone up over the last couple of months, and I know we can blame a lot of this on war and on COVID and what was happening over the last few years. Again, not an expert. I think what I would say is if all this does go pop, I don't think you'll see ad costs. Ad costs will come down. I truly believe ad costs will come down. I think you will be able to do a lot of deals with factories in China that are needing to move materials and need their production lines to be moving. I think there will be phenomenal rates available for goods. I think there will be fantastic payment terms available. I think you can leverage the position that everybody's going to be in that everyone will be struggling to pay bills, and use that to your advantage. Ask for better terms, get better terms, whether that's with established vendors and suppliers already, or whether you're kind of starting from scratch. I think it actually gives you strength to do that. On the flip side, I think it's actually going to wipe out a lot of people that are not profitable too. And I think we're already starting to see this with a lot of like the DTC darlings that have been raising money hand over fist for the last like 5-6 years. And, you know, I'm not going to name names. There was one that kind of came up the other day, and I'm sure you know who I'm talking about, that, you know, didn't get the Series A and then now looking at bankruptcy off the back of it. And I don't know the financials. I'm going to assume they're not profitable, or they never have been. And that they've just been burning money at all costs to get to this rate. I know for a fact that's what a lot of the brands I've worked with over the years, as, you know, as clients, have been doing. Yep. It has just been growth at all costs. And I think that's going to start biting people in the ass. I think there's going to get to a point where the VCs are now sick of just lending money hand over fist, and like things are kind of coming in. People want to actually start seeing returns at long last. And if these brands are not profitable, you know, the valuations on these brands have been absurd. I think they've been all over the cover of like Wired magazine and everything else, and they're exactly who we've all looked up to. Who've, you know, raise money, drive revenue as hard as fast as possible, hire as fast as possible, be the most innovative brand going at all costs. And I don't know. I feel like it's coming in. It's actually going to give the smaller players a lot more room to play. I think it's going to reset things in a very, very healthy way, if it does happen.
Yeah. Some excellent points you made about, and I think the biggest like thing about with VCs and the fundraising and all that stuff is like, I'm thinking like, man, why has it been like so DTC focused and like lately compared to many years ago? It's like, well, I'm pretty sure it's because a lot of VCs and funding started with like SaaS and technology. And so scaling and building that is much different than selling physical product goods. The margins are different. The business structure is different. The customer is different. Your individual people versus, you know, potentially to big businesses all at once. So direct to consumer, oh, well, they're making a bunch of money with like off Facebook ads and LTVs and these subscriptions, and like that they just try to like copy and paste it into physical products, and like that just doesn't work most of the time. And so I think that's one of the biggest things I was kind of like thinking about while you're talking about. I'm like, why hasn't it worked as well as we thought? Like, there's people much smarter than me and like much more experienced in all this stuff, but why hasn't it worked? So I think that's just kind of the first thing that came to my mind was like, you don't have, sometimes it's just a single purchase. Like software is like reoccurring. It's a subscription, or it's like an annual plan. Like for DTC brands, most it's one-time purchase, maybe purchase later that year, or a new product comes out. But they try to force these subscriptions, and that works for some brands. But then you get into the problem of not being a good customer experience, of like, oh, I have too much of this product, cancel or pause, or they have some kind of subscriptions force these terms on you. So that's just kind of depends on like your product. You can't subscriptionize everything. So I think, like, I get a new T-shirt every week. Like, I don't know about that. Like, okay, but you get your shampoo every month or whatever it is, or skincare or whatever that might make more sense, or your supplements or whatever, because you're taking them every day. Sure. But yeah, I think that was kind of my initial reaction to kind of the main points you're making there about seeing that shift.
Yeah, it's funny. When you kind of, I know I mentioned this earlier around like the sort of customer-centric aspect of it. I think, again, a lot of small brands that do have like these tight-knit audiences that they have been building. Again, the way I say it is like it needs to become more customer-centric. It's you need to actually give a shit about these customers. Like you really, really do. And I think so many of us haven't. You know, we just looked at Facebook as this arbitrage machine of like just go out and buy new customers. Like as long as we are break even, like just keep spending. Doesn't matter. And I think it's going to force a lot, myself included, to be honest, to like look at the brands we're operating and say like, okay, what is the journey that our audience is on? What is the journey that this customer is on? You know, we've served them with product one. What is the natural next step and natural extension of this product line? What is the next thing happening in this audience's life that they are likely to purchase that we can actually sell for them? And I think that's where a lot of us just have not looked. We've either been running like, don't say copycat brands, but there's a lot of very similar brands in the DTC space that have raised a lot of money, all competing with each other. And, it's getting to a point where I don't think any of them really stand out, really. And it's getting to a point where, you can only innovate a product so much, or you can only white label a product so much. And it's the brand that starts to then stand out. It's, what is your post-purchase experience like? How much are you taking care of the customer? What's the warranty like? If something goes wrong, if there's a return request, like what does that process look like? Because it's that's then going to build the trust, that builds longevity, that builds that lifetime value. And I think that needs to become far more of a bigger part of the pie than it has been.
Yeah, man. Like, these brands are independent brands. They're run by one or two people, like three people. Like, lean into that. You're talk to your customers. You're not just some big conglomerate, multi-trillion dollar corporation, and then just like all of your products are. Yeah, you're not like Walmart, Safeway, Target, whatever, these big box stores, and you're just one of the other products on the shelf. Like, you're getting your product and your brand in front of the customer on their little phone. We see a bunch of them every day, but for that moment, it's just you. Like, how do you make yourself stand out? How do you get them from the ad to your website? How do you welcome them? How do you communicate with them? How do you get them to finish purchasing? Or if they don't purchase, if they can contact you and you respond appropriately, not with an automated email response, we'll get back. Thanks for your message. We'll get back to you in the next 3 to 5 days. There's almost no one who's going to wait 3 to 5 days for an impulse purchase. They're ready to buy now. They just have a quick question. They want to make sure you're legit, they're not going to get ripped off and scammed, or like this is an actual business. So, oh man. And then post-purchase and after all that stuff, like you said, like, can you become part of their life? Like, is there content that you can create to support the lifestyle, the values, the mission around the product? Not just, oh yeah, I just go to Tom's website to buy my new protein, like every so often. No, I'm actually listening to, like, I follow him on like his brand on TikTok, and they post gym tips and fitness interviews and talk to trainers and, whatever it is, like, for your brand, like, that's becoming, social media is free. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes effort, but you get free reach to reach a bunch of people without paid ads. And it's actually insane. And I think we have so much more content getting tossed at us, just garden hose, like fire hose, just spewing out all day, content. Like, your brand you have to catch some of these people. And some people, it's like, it's just a job to be done. I just need protein powder. And I just need the best and whatever. I don't care about the other brand stuff. But there's always a cheaper option. There's always a different option. What is it for you that you're going to connect with these people and make them keep coming back, and to make that 80% of your revenue from like 20% of your best customers? Like, that's what you should probably be spending more time on, instead of just putting more money into the turning your cash into Zuck's bucks and trying to get more customers. And just like, okay, cool, they bought once, sweet, our revenue went up that one day, but then they're gone, they never came back. Like, is that really worth it? And that all contributes to that. Earlier in this, we were talking about top line growth at all costs, revenue focus. So maybe it's like, cool, I can just serve a few less people and make them really happy and just stick with them for longer instead of trying to rush through everything. So just really interesting to think about it.
I think that's so true. I mean, kind of just thinking back over the years, like, I have never built a brand that was a race to the bottom. Like, I never wanted to be the cheapest, never have been the cheapest. There's competitive products that you could buy for significantly less. But I always knew that, if we were charging a premium, instantly kind of out the gate, we were setting ourselves apart of like, okay, why is it so much more? But it meant we could do so much more for the customer. It meant we could have someone on live chat. It meant we could have someone sitting there on a phone, literally ready to take a call, or ready to catch an SMS. It meant after the purchase that we could really take care of them, reach out, make sure everything's fine. If something went wrong, like, we can just fix it without worrying about it. It's baked into the margin. That, I think, has always been such an advantage to us.
Yeah, that's where people, but no, I just acquired a new customer with Facebook. Like, I can scale that, and you kind of forget that it's a human. It's not just I put $100 in and I get 5 orders out. Like, those are 5 people. And if you take care of those people, guess what's cheaper than Facebook ads? Them telling their friends, them posting about it, them sharing it, becoming an advocate, becoming someone who wants to get more people, oh, try this new product, this new brand's sick. Like, a lot of people want to be that person for their friend group.
Yeah.
Like, they like being like, oh, this is what's trendy, or this is what's in, or this new thing that, like, oh, not as many people know about this yet. Like, lean into that. And if you take care of the customers, the more likely that will happen versus, cool, now they're up to $1,000 a day on Facebook now. Like, oh, scaled up to 1,200, just like without even caring. And your ad comments, you're just getting destroyed and you have no idea. Like, just think about the actual humans and what we're actually doing.
I mean, that's kind of the joke of it, you know, for every like business I've had that, you know, that's charged a premium for those products. When we like run ads, you know, we'll take a lot of the content. You're exactly right. You know, the people that do the ad go out and tell friends and they post it on social media. We'll take that content, we'll run that as an ad. And in fact, when we're actually retargeting or just targeting prospects, we'll put in the audience of like past purchases, like throwing people that are 30 to 60 day customers purely to get social proof. Like, you know, we'll start seeing people in the comments either engaging in a way that is super positive, or frankly, like if they have a problem, I actually have no issue with them commenting and saying they have a problem because it gives me a chance to respond in public. You know, if they say like, you know, the battery's dead or this product's broken or it's arrived damaged, like, okay, literally publicly, we're going to just fix this for you, which I think, again, just has established so much trust over the years for these brands. It's done so well, which has actually driven our costs down to acquire a customer versus our competitors. You know, I've watched like copycat competitors try and outspend us and they're out of business within like 6 months. And to the point, I genuinely don't even worry about it anymore, which I know probably sounds quite arrogant, but it's not even become a consideration. Like, I know I will take better care of that customer. I know we have a better experience because like I will die on the hill trying to make sure that it is.
Yes. So like the positive comments and like the questions addressing that in the comment, that's like someone coming up to you at a physical store. Like, let's translate it in person real quick to like talk about ad comments. Cause I know some brand founders like, oh no, I don't respond to comments or like turn comments off or whatever. But think about it this way. You're in Walmart, you're in Safeway, you're in Target. You go up and you see a product or you see an advertisement on a deal. Like, oh, 4 for $10. Cool. And you go ask one of the workers there, hey, can you help me with this? Or like, hey, like last time I tried to get this deal, it didn't work. They're not just going to ignore you and keep walking away and like doing their job. They're going to be like, oh, cool. Like, yeah. Well, oh yeah, the date was wrong on the deal. Or like you mix and match the products and you couldn't. Right. So by responding to the comments, you're like, again, you are a smaller brand compared to these big corporations and billionaires. Like, especially if you're like the brand founder or like you're obviously coming from a place of not just a customer support person, that helps even more. Like, oh yeah, this is Tom. Like, I'm the founder. Like, oh yeah, sorry about that. Like, we had a small issue with some orders. We'll get you new ones replaced right away. People on the fence about buying may be more likely to buy now after seeing that comment instead of just the ad that is, oh, over 20 million 5-star reviews and no negative ones ever. Like, that's just all faked and it's all nonsense. So I think just trying to like humanize this stuff a little more and trying to like view it in a slightly different way can help us a lot. Think through that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. I think back to like, again, 2015 when, I mean, we first like, when Instagram still had organic reach, like genuinely decent organic reach. I mean, literally every follower we got, I would engage with every single one of them. Anytime we got an email subscriber, if they left their name, like they got as far as checkout, I think I was only doing it for those. I think most of the time, like we started using a tool called Bonjoro, where I would literally like record a video and send it to them before they even made a purchase. Just like welcome them to the brand, give them a quick like 10-second spiel on who we were, what we were up to, and just if they had any questions, shoot me back. I cannot tell you how well they performed. To this point, yeah, I will run into people at this point and tell them about Poster Protein. And some of them, like weirdly, I've had this in the last like 6 months, where they remember an email they got from the company, not really knowing that it was that Tom. It's kind of funny. it's a cool little win, but honestly, it's those little, I don't know, it's just making the effort at that level. You know, it doesn't need to be for everyone, but we probably did that for, I probably did that for like the first like 2,000 subscribers we got. And the amount of people that went on to tell other people, I mean, literally thousands of videos, thousands of emails, thousands of phone calls, texts, just to go above and beyond to like win those first couple thousand customers that just paid dividends for years.
Man, you're telling me building a brand from scratch is hard work, Tom? I have to do things. I have to do things like that and actually connect with people. Dang, dude, no. But sarcasm aside, but man, that just goes to show you like the common advice, and like it's so cliche, but I'm learning in life that cliches are true, often true for a reason.
Yeah,
Do the things that don't scale, and
100%.
that's the one that doesn't scale. You can't. Uh, I've seen some like AI tools that are trying to like automate that personalization, which I think that's defeating the point. But I think like you saying the first 2,000 customers, like, dude, I don't know 2,000 people. Like, I don't text my friends. Like, I barely respond to my friends' text messages. Like, there's like 15 or 20 or 30, what depend, right? Like 2,000 people that like, hey, thanks for signing up. Like, let me know. It's Tom. Thanks to the brand. Let me know if you have any questions. Like, just doing that manually and like either video or text, like, it's just the effort it takes to stand out, especially if you're in a competitive vertical, which most people are at this point. It is a lot of people out there. Anyone can do it. So like, how are you going to stand out? So I think it is really neat of you to share that.
Oh, I appreciate that. I'm just kind of thinking back, like it was at that point when I was doing that, we were converting at like a 6-7%. It was ridiculous. Which, I was the primary reason I was doing it at that point. I mean, I still kind of do it to an extent now. Is like, when I was launching that brand, like I had no money. I had time. I had no money. It was like, I can leverage one of these. One of these I have.
Yep. No, early on, that's true for most people. Like when you're just getting started, you probably have more time than money. So that's how you do it, is effort, connection, showing that you care and you're not just an extra order to show off and show off your Shopify screenshot on Twitter and be like, oh, look all these people, suckers who gave me their money. It's like, no, look at all these people who I've impacted with and connected and talked to and have like helped them in some way. So I think that's pretty interesting. And I think that's a pretty good place for us to wind down. We went deep on that one. We'll save the other questions for next time.
Good deal.
Yeah, man. So anything you want to wrap up? Anything you want to share that maybe what people can expect in future episodes, or anything? Any final thoughts before we close out?
I mean, a couple. I suppose like one, just like stay optimistic. If we are going into this recession, like honestly, I don't see it as something that's catastrophic to smaller merchants. I really don't. I kind of see it as an advantage. On the flip side, like regarding this podcast, like I thrive off Q&A. I'll be honest. It's just me sat there with a microphone. Like I absolutely suck. I have no idea what people are actually interested in. So, like, if somebody is listening to this and they genuinely have a question that I can possibly just add my 2 cents to and help for just whatever experience I have, by all means, like DM me, send me a message on Twitter, just whatever to reach out, and I will gladly go through it.
Yes, yeah. Reach out to Tom. Reach out to me. I'll make sure. I'm kind of the handler of all the questions and topics and getting this together. So I'd be happy to field those as well. And we would love to just sit here and talk through your question. We love talking about e-commerce and business and advertising, all this stuff. So any questions you guys have, any topics, any things you want help with, just let us know. And this is for us to connect with each other. It's us to connect with the rest of you listening. And this is just episode 1. So let us know what you thought. Let us know what you want to see more of. And we'll catch you on episode 2.